Didn't see you there. Right, I'm Sam, watching the Review Realm. We are a couple days away from the new year. I want to share with you what I thought were the top 10 albums, my personal top 10 albums of 2018. So the rules stand as follows. It obviously has to be from the year 2018. I must have listened to the album, or we must have reviewed the album earlier on this year. Unfortunately, there was not much content from this past year, so a lot of the music that I've included on my list is stuff I've listened to. Number 10, kicking it off strong with a classic band, Clutch and Book of Bad Decisions. Now, a couple years ago when Psychic Warfare came out, that was my first exposure to the band. And it was a high note, and I knew a lot of Clutch fans that were like, this is a great album. And this album came out, and this one was strong. This one was pretty strong. Not as strong as Psychic Warfare. It had the title track, Book of Bad Decisions. It had Hot Bottom for You, which was the single, which was I think, crab cake recipe. Give me the keys, you know, that line in that opening track, give me the keys and get the hell out of Dodge. Oh, driving to work, listen to that track? Oh, I was ready to go. A lot of great tracks. Clutch is a fun band, fun blues band, a band I missed this year on tour. I'm hoping next year they do go on tour so I can see them again. That's my number 10. So my number 9 spot might take a little bit of controversy because of the music we generally listen to and like. John and I both love a lot of different music. Mine branches out extensively. So for me, number 9 is actually from the band Gunship, a synthwave band from the UK whose members are from the post-hardcore metal band Fightstar and their album Dark All Day. Now, I love synthwave, I'm very nostalgic, I love 80s music, and I love 80s soundtracks. And Gunship is one of the forefront bands on this. The title track, Dark All Day, starts off very, very mellow, very electronic-y, and then when the beat comes in very heavy, it's like awesome, nice synthwave, and then the saxophone kicks in. Nice, strong wailing on this saxophone. If you like electronic music, if you like soundtracks, if you like stuff that just nostalgic, the synthwave genre, which is pretty much what Muse tried to do this year with their new album, the Simulation Theory, I believe. This is something I would highly suggest you guys get into and explore. And if you don't like it, that's fine. I'm a big fan of synthwave. I loved Gunship's first album. Dark All Day exceeds my expectations. Don't be surprised if there are more synthwave albums going on in the future for my reviews in my top 10s of the years. That's my number 9 spot. Okay, number 8 comes from the band Monuments and Phronesis, I believe it's pronounced. I've been listening to this band prior to their first release, and I've always loved them. Granted, they do fall into the realm of which is starting to fall out of popularity. It's becoming very generic. Monuments really still holds on to the genty tones, the metalcore tones that they started with, and stay strong with them. They don't sound generic. When you listen to Monuments, you're listening to Monuments. And off the bat, the album comes in strong, comes in heavy. There are moments that are just very melodic. They write really well, and the album flows. And I like a great album that flows. I'm not too sure if there's a concept behind the lyrical meanings of this album. The album just flows really well. If you've never heard Monuments, definitely check them out. This album might even be I think, their best release yet. And that's number 8. So number 7. I actually was able to meet this band over the summer when I was at the Summer Slaughter Tour. The 4th album by the band Era, their album Neon. They're another band that kind of holds to the genty roots, but they're very unique. I think they're very different, and they might be even straying away from that terminology. I was familiar with the album Drift, the album prior to that, and I did like it. I enjoyed listening to it. When I first heard this single, Disarray, very powerful, came in full force. Jesse Cass, the guitar player / lead backing vocalist, I don't know where you put him. Him and the lead vocalist work really well. There's some killer riffs. The opening track, Breathe, phenomenal, gets you right in the mood. Monolith, Signal Fire, it just flows. Another album that flows well. It's very heavy, definitely shows you where the genre is going in terms of heavy and melodic music. Not conflicting, cause a rift between the two fan bases. That's my number 7. Now bear with me with this next one. Number 6 comes in by the band The Ocean Collective, and I believe it's pronounced Phanerozoic 1, Paleozoic. This is 5 years after the release of their last album, Plagial. Album that I adored. I love the feel of it. That album was about going deeper into the ocean. And this album seems to almost carry over and take those ideas and those concepts and really grow. I'm not too sure what the concept is because they generally have conceptual ideas with their lyrics, but this album really feels like Pelagial and really feels like the Ocean has found their sound as a very, at times, heavy and ambient band. the vocals, the guitar work, the drums. There's not a bad part of this album. It all flows. From the moment the Cambrian explosion starts, all the way to the end for The Great Dying. I don't know if there's a bad track on this album. And they have the lead singer of Catatonia on one of these tracks. If you're into ambient music, you're into progressive music, something that creates an atmosphere, I would highly suggest The Ocean Collective as a whole, especially this album. Number 5 is a little sweeter on the tongue. Number 5 is from Elliot Coleman's band, Good Tiger, We Will All Be Gone. Now, I've always enjoyed this band when the first album came out. I've been a big fan of Elliot Coleman since I saw him with Tesseract. This album almost strips away some of the heavy growling that Elliot Coleman did on the first album, leaves the rest of the elements, and creates just a wonderful, fun, I don't even know how to explain it. It reminds me of almost like an indie metal band, like some indie rock band with metal elements from like 10 years ago that I would have listened to in high school. You know, the opening track, The Devil Thinks I'm Sinking, Float On, Cherry Lemon, they're all fun, very catchy at times, very sing-along-y. Elliot Coleman has the voice of an angel. The rest of the band works really well. I want to say Alex Ruding of The Faceless is still on drums. I could be wrong on that. If you like a good band like that, that falls into something where it's almost alternative, indie, but it's also heavy, Good Tiger, We Will All Be Gone, that's number 5. Number 4 might be the shocking one, because this one I just discovered 3 weeks ago, is Dorian Gray's The Insulated World. Now, I've heard of this band, I'm very familiar with the album Ouroboros. I've heard how creative and bizarre this band is coming out of Japan. I've never listened to any of these metal acts. When I was looking to discover new music, Dorian Gray was the first one that has been on my list for a while, and I found out they put out this new album, The Insulated World. And off the bat, it punches you in the fucking face. I can't even pronounce half these tracks because they're in Japanese. Begin to Disdain, very heavy. Devote My Life, which is almost like hardcore-esque. The best way a friend of mine described them after listening to this album compared to their albums is they're almost like the Japanese Rammstein. They do so many different things, yet they don't lose themselves. I went to go buy from their website, and it was $40 with the import and everything. I almost blew that kind of money. And from this album that I've only listened to for 3 weeks to pop to number 4, I'm still blown away by it. I listen to this album like 3 times a week. If you like something that's heavy, something that's very melodic, something that has everything except for English lyrics, Dorian Gray's The Insulated World. Definitely check that band out.
Honestly, I almost thought that would be number 1.
Okay, now we're down to number 3. Number 3 is from another band that I discovered in recent years. Their last album was actually my number 1 the year it came out, Haken's Vector. So for those of you who are familiar with the progressive world of music, as you can see from my collection of top 10 so far, Haken has been a band that I've been looking for something fresh in the genre of progressive music for a while. You know, I'm a big fan of obviously bands like Porcupine Tree, of Neil Morse, of Spock's Beard, of the Flower Kings, but a lot of these progressive bands have fallen into the realm that most genres do. We want to do that kind of music and play that kind of music, but we're just going to sound like everyone else in the genre. Haken, I think, takes away from that. Haken has made this, taken the progressive genre and taken the torch, almost in a sense, and being as creative as they are. The album Vector is no different from their last album, Affinity, except it builds off of that. The single I heard, The Good Doctor, almost, telling a story with that, going into tracks like Puzzle Box, that was like very atmospheric, very moving. Veil, I think, is my favorite track on the album. Nail by Mouth, the instrumental, mind-boggling. The way it's just so different, it's a little offbeat at times, but you can't help nod your head to it. And Ross Jennings, another vocalist, I love his voice. I've always thought he had a great voice. In this album, I think he even excels above what he did in Affinity. So if you are not familiar with progressive music at all and need want something new to experiment with, Vector from Haken, number 3. Number 2 is from another one of my favorite bands. If I was to create a list of top 10 bands in my life, this is definitely in that list. Between the Buried Enemies, Autonoma 1. Well, we were very surprised when BTBM announced that they were going to release their next album in 2 parts. Actually, I think it's pretty much 2 different albums. Autonoma, the first time I heard Condemned to the Gallows, I was like, I can really dig this. It was a shocker that BT Bam, who generally has this big, long build-up, almost like Pink Floyd's Shining You Crazy Diamond, before throwing fists at you, technically and just being heavy, decide, we're gonna cut that out. We're gonna give you 5 seconds of that, and you better be ready. And then it's just to the hills. Everyone in this album, Tommy, Dan, Paul, the rest of the band, they excel. And the concept on this album is no different from anything else they've done before. It's just as wacky, it's just as bizarre. It tells a story about a man whose dreams are being shown for entertainment across the world, and how this man is being used. It's a very short album. This listen's about 35 minutes long. They do a lot in 35 minutes, and I can't say this about many bands, but they were able to put a lot into 35 minutes and not make you feel overwhelmed. And by the time Blot hits and it ends very abruptly, like we said in the review, you want more. BT Bam never fails to meet my expectations. They excel again. Oh, this great music that came out in 2018, we come down to number 1. Those of you who know me you probably already know what my number 1 is. Number 1 goes to, that's right, Between the Buried Enemies, Autonoma 2.
I knew it.
This was a tough one. I actually had to sit down and listen to both albums back to back for a week to figure out which one of these two I thought was the better piece of work. After listening to Autonoma 1, and it's a great piece of work, Autonoma 2 shines the light. It's even shorter, it's 33 minutes long. There are 4 tracks on this compared to the 6 or 7 that are on Autonoma 1, and they do so much. The opening track and the ending track, they both pack so much into it, but you don't feel overwhelmed. Everyone shines. And once you go into Glide, the second track, and right in the voice of Trespass, it's almost like its own thing. You know, it was very waltzy, very heavy. The band shines. I saw them play this live right after the album came out at the Summer Slaughter tour. This is gonna be a live staple for years. But it's its own thing. It's not like crunched up with a bunch of shit going on. I mean, it is in the BT Bam sense, but they didn't try to jam thousands of different ideas. They kept it its own thing, and they almost partied the Red Sea, if you will, on this album, and threw everything at the front and the back. Left Blind and Voice of Trespass as its own thing. Between the Buried and Me have never disappointed me. 20 years strong. They're great musicians. They know how to write. I don't even know where they can go from here. Can they make a better album than Autonoma 2? I want to say no, but I'm always proved wrong. So there you go. That's my top 10 for 2018. What do you think? You disagree with me? You agree with me? Are there albums we should have checked out? Let us know in the comments below. Like and subscribe to our page and our YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out John's top 10. With our conflicting schedules for 2018, it's been crazy, it's been hectic. We weren't able to put out a lot of content. Things hopefully going into 2019 with our schedule sync, you will be seeing more content from us, more reviews, more music. And we're looking forward to any suggestions you send us. Unless it's Andrew WK.
I'll never listen to him again.
Thank you for watching, guys. Like, share, tell me what you think. Happy New Year.